I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is Tuesday, July 15th. Apologies for being a few minutes late. We're broadcasting, of course, from the Limbach Lumber Studios. Contractors, they offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, largest stock moldings in the Northwest, old school service because they've been doing it since 1930. Give Limbach Lumber a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbachlumber.com. You can follow this world-renowned show on all the social media platforms. Puck Sports, they're on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Puck_sports on TikTok. Find us on Facebook. Also, pucksports.com. Sign up. You get everything. You can join the Pucks Posse. You get everything that we do here on a daily basis, plus all the bonus content we get as well. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. It's, you know what it is. It's summer break and it's All-Star week. And we're just all living in the glow there of Cal Raleigh. We Daily Puck Drop. We go live every day. Again, all the platforms, YouTube, Twitter, the Puck Sports mobile app at 10 to 11:30, and then everything gets up there on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. We'll get into Cal Raleigh. Just unbelievable what he did again last night. Second half outlook of the season. Jim Duquette will join us. We, of course, record with Jim, or we recorded with Jim today because of all of his all-star duties there for Sirius XM. So we'll have Jim Duquette coming on bottom of the hour or so. NBA expansion, we'll get a lot of that. There's a lot of news right now circulating on NBA expansion, and they're in Vegas tonight. You're going to hear most likely, well, they are scheduled. Adam Silver's scheduled to talk tonight. Again, no idea why he would hold a press conference and talk to the media on the night of the All-Star game, which is just moronic. But last night starts, of course, or today's show starts with what happened last night in Atlanta, Georgia. Frickin' did it. It's unbelievable. The story of the first half of the season in Major League Baseball, the guy, you're like, can he top it? And he did. He absolutely topped it. He is the working man. He's the everyman baseball athlete star, and that is Cal Raleigh. To me, the single best image from last, there's a moment in the home run derby that I thought was the best, and not necessarily him winning it or hitting a home run, but the image, and we'll share for our viewer, the ones that are watching. I'll explain it to the ones of you that are just listening. But that image, the image of Cal, his dad, Todd, and then his brother, Todd Jr., who's actually taller than Cal, which is amazing, at 15. The picture of Cal with Todd Jr. in the middle, and then Todd Sr. There on the far right. For those just listening, you can look it up, go back to the YouTube show, and you can see the picture, or just find it for yourself. Just go to Twitter, social media, Google the Raleigh family celebrating. That, to me, is the image of last night. And we talked about this, or we will talk about this. You're going to hear it with Jim Duquette. I believe that Cal Raleigh, for him, it didn't matter for Cal if he won it last night. I mean, I think as the competition heats up and the competitor in him got going, but I think for him, what was most important was that image that I just shared, and again, for those listening, go back and watch. I mean, but you can recall it. You don't need to actually see it itself, but is the image of those three together. To have his dad being able to throw to his son on the biggest stage in that sport, and then have his youngest son catch him. I don't know how it gets any better than that. And Todd Raleigh said it himself. He said, quote, every dad who's ever had a kid, this is what they've dreamed about. I mean, for all you dads out there, I'm sure there's a lot of dads that are watching and listening. How many times have you thrown BP to your son, or maybe even your daughter? How many times have you done that over the years? Whether they're all grown up now out of the house or what have you. many countless hours have you thrown BP? And it's funny because Duquette and I talk about this, and he shares the same struggle that when I throw BP to my kid, not so much when it's just us one-on-one, but when it's a group setting, I'm terrible. I can't for him. Everybody else, great. I'm like Todd Raleigh, groove it right in there for everyone. For him, I'm all over the place. Don't give him a single pitch. And I don't know why. And I think maybe it's that father-son thing. But for Todd Raleigh, he was great last night. And you could sense the pure joy and elation on his face and his body language and all of it, that he was just living his absolute best dream. I don't forgetting if it was in the finals or the semifinals, one of the last shots he had to center field. And there's the image of Todd Raleigh just turning around, holding up both of his arms in the air. And he just had that absolute proud dad moment. There's nothing like baseball. It's not comparable to the other sports. We romanticize about baseball more than we do romanticize about the NBA or basketball or the NFL and football in general. Because it is that father-son moment that baseball has always leaned into more so than any other sport. Certainly made famous by movies and Field of Dreams and all that. It just has that connection between those two that is just greater than any other sport. And so when you saw that last night, I just thought it captured perfectly who Cal Raleigh is, because Cal Raleigh is right now one of the biggest, if not the biggest story in baseball. And he went there thinking, oh, well, I'll just see if I can hit home runs and see how we can do. But I really have no expectation of winning this thing. And then, because remember, he hits it from the left side, then switched over the right side. People, oh, he shouldn't do that. He's gonna cost himself. And Frank, on a side note, is that Eduardo Perez okay that the Cal won? Is anybody like me that Eduardo Perez was kind of felt disappointed that Cal Raleigh won? Just a little bit. I don't know. He just kind of didn't. And Carl Ravitch is a nothing burger. If we just maybe, and I know there's probably people out there, and I'm a nothing burger, so I can call people a nothing burger. But Chris Berman's polarizing, but can we at least he brings some excitement to it? Can we get somebody that's excited about the home run derby rather than Carl Ravitch, who looks like he's bored out of his mind there, and Eduardo Perez? And who was the other guy there? I'm blanking on who that was. I can't think. I cannot recall it right now. Somebody in the chat, tell me who that was. Terrible. It's just a terrible crew. Is there anybody else we can have doing that that's better than those three? Anyways, we know him out here. I think what's cool is that the national media gets to see him. The country gets to see him more. And maybe more people will kind of fall in love with him. But it's that, and we've talked about this a lot, is that everyman, next door neighbor, mows his lawn, drinks a beer. I use that same line with Duquette coming up later. He's just normal from what we get to perceive, right? We don't really know him, but he just comes across as he's just your neighbor. It's just your neighbor that you walk over to. Hey, Cal, you got any out of gasoline for the lawnmower? You got any gasoline over there? Oh yeah, I got some. Or gas tank. Yeah, the barbecue's out. You got a propane tank over there? Oh yeah, I got that too. He's just normal. And I think what lets him be so successful is humility, the way it's all of it, the way he carries himself, the way certainly that how he was raised. And it's to see that on that biggest stage rewarded is just great, because we're so up here in Seattle, and probably like anywhere else, but especially here, we're so protective of our athletes. And I do believe, and so we want them to succeed, especially when they get on that biggest stage. Now, the last time the other guy to win that was, Griffey, and Griffey was certainly the biggest star, in baseball, and was for a period of time. Cal's not that, and he's not that personality that Griffey was, the showman that Griffey was. I love, paying, homage to him, but wearing the hat backwards. That was great. But he just, as perfect as an athlete, as a teammate can get, he is. He just embodies everything that I think anyone would want to teach their child how to perform, how to act, and how to carry themselves. He's great. The two stories that came out this week, Jeff Passan on ESPN, Adam Jude of Seattle Times, you read those stories and you just get a glimpse into what makes him tick, the work ethic, everything that goes into it. Not only just from an offensive standpoint, but from the defensive standpoint, working with pitchers and being a team leader and carrying all of that. And I've thought about this a while, and we've brought it up on a number of times. His career is very much not over, and he's got so many more years to play in baseball. But I think in 15, 20 years from now, I'm in one of those, the kids put me in an old age home. They come to visit maybe once a month, maybe. I think we'll be talking about, I don't think he's not going to be the greatest player that this organization has ever had. That no one's going to ever top Griffey. It's just not going to happen. I think he might be the most beloved, though, and most likable. And Jim said something yesterday. I agree with Jim. If they win a World Series and he does anything in the postseason, and he will have a major hand in winning that, I think he'll go down as just without a doubt the most beloved. I think he's the most likable. That's reserved for very few athletes in this town. And I think he has a chance. And I'm not just talking Mariners now. I'm talking of all time, of any sport. Because most people can kind of relate to Cal Raleigh. Just an awesome scene last night. So cool the rest of the nation got to see it. They had heard probably so much about this guy. Probably, all they didn't even really know his name. They still Big Dumper. To get background on that nickname, and probably people out there thinking it's a fluke that he hit the home runs. There's probably people out there that think he's on something to do that. And for him then to be the biggest storyline of the first half, to come there and then deliver like he did, it's great. And for all those out there who didn't want him to participate, who thought it'd be too much of a drag, he's going to wear out. Part of them, that group is waiting for him to fail in the second half. I'll go back to what Steve Sandmeyer said a couple of weeks ago on the Sports Pin when talking about it, the worry of him doing so much activities during the All-Star game, the home run derby, and all that. If we think participating, his point was, we think participating in the home run derby, participating in all these All-Star game festivities is the thing that knocks him out of the second half of the season. For a guy that played, was it last year, 2 years ago, with a broken thumb. So if a broken thumb not going to knock this guy out, but going out and doing a bunch of interviews and doing a home run derby is going to be the thing that wears him out. We're crazy. And I agree with Sandy on that. We're absolutely crazy if we think this is going to be the thing that knocks him out. But they were just awesome. And the best part, I thought one of the best parts of the game last night, so we were talking about this earlier, with when you or a dad throw into your kids, is, for me, I could never, in the team setting, never can throw my kid a good pitch. And when this happened last night, I got a text from a buddy of mine who we used to coach together. And when he would throw BP, he would always hit his kid. Like every time. He was, God, I love you, and you know who you are. One of the worst BP throws of all time. But the best part last night was when Todd Raleigh actually hit Cal.
About Cal's elbow.
Look at him. Bam!
So
right
that's
on
a
the
great
elbow.
point. If he doesn't end up hitting 60 homers.
For those listening, showing the video of when Cal's dad, Todd, hit him on the elbow.
About Cal's elbow.
Look at that, man. Just crushing
That's a
him,
great
man.
point. If he doesn't end
to
up
go.
hitting 60 homers, we can play. Not to.
Oh, way to go, Todd! Hitting your own kid in the home run derby. Does that happen for? I don't remember too many guys in the home run derby getting hit, but just a breathtaking display of power and fun last night. It was great to see his teammates out there, Wu and Rosarina and Andres Munoz, and all of it. I mean, they're just whatever the viewership is for the All-Star Game festivities and what it is tonight. Nothing tops this week for any of the sports. You just can't. It's hard, and I think we all kind of agree and say the same things about Major League Baseball. It's hard to fake it. It's hard to not go out and give your all in it, where clearly we're that way with the Pro Bowl. God, we've been there with the NBA, and I used to love the NBA All-Star Game. The NBA All-Star Game used to be the best, especially in the fourth quarter when just the starters, the 10 best players in the world would play, and they'd play the whole quarter, like all of it. And I mean, diving on the floor, pride, all of it. They did not care. And then that went away. I think as the contracts got so much bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just, that completely disappeared. It sucks because that used to be the premier event. It did. Really was. The dunk contest, 3-point, but it's been replaced by baseball, and baseball just doesn't have you can't. Maybe you could, as a pitcher, you could groove something to another hitter, but I just don't think there's that from that competition level. You don't want to be serving one up to somebody that hits it, 450 feet, out of the ballpark. So the summer of Cal continues. It was great. I don't know if I saved this or not. I don't know if I have this. The Vinny, did anyone see the Vinny Pasquantino tweet about Cal Raleigh? I think I have it up here. I want to share it. I think I got it. This is one of the greatest tweets of all time. As Vinny Pasquantini said for the Royals, says, "Oh, I'm Cal Raleigh. I hit a lot of home runs. I hit for both sides of the plate. Play the most valuable position. I have one of the coolest nicknames in sports. Screw you, man." Now, obviously, that's a man's sense of humor that I like very, very much. The best part of that tweet are the responses underneath it, and it's the first one. Dude, you play first base. What an absolute putt. Do people get funny anymore? Do they get sarcasm? Is that lost on people? One thing we're going to talk to Duquette about coming up here in a little bit is, I think the one thing that Cal did last night, now they still need team success for this, but I think the one thing that Cal did last night was really narrowed that gap for a lot of East Coast voters and national voters when it comes to the MVP. Because if there was any doubt, because they're not watching Cal as much as they are watching the Yankees and Aaron Judge. I think if there was any doubt of what the gap was between the two, I think he narrowed that a lot. Because I think what people saw last night was, the display of power. They get to know him a little bit. They get to know his story, how he carries himself. People like that. People like that character in sports. The character that is Cal Raleigh, the everyman, the working man, the blue collar man. I think that's going to work in his favor as we get closer and closer. Now the team needs to do its part, keep winning games, get into the postseason. If they don't get into the postseason, he's not going to win it. There's no chance, because he needs to get in the postseason to verify his great season, because that great season led to the team winning and getting in. They don't get in, people are going to be like, yeah, great, he had an awesome season, but they didn't make the playoffs, so how great was it? Let's give it to Aaron Judge. But if they get in, and then their record isn't too dissimilar from the Yankees, I think you're going to see he's going to sway a lot of people to vote for him, because there is no debate who plays the toughest position out of the two. There's none. He plays the toughest position in the sport. Nothing takes a wear and tear on your body like playing catcher. Nothing. And he deals with the pitching staff. He does all of that, the defense, and now is putting up those offensive numbers, which gets us to our second thing on the rundown, the second half outlook. What does the second half outlook look like, for the Mariners and this organization, moving forward? Well, I mean, the biggest thing that they could use besides adding another bat, whether it's at first base, third base, is it Naylor, is it Ryan O'Hearn that could play DH? Is it Eugenio Suarez, who was asked about that? I think Scott Hansen's back there for the Seattle Times. He had talked to him. And Suarez said, hey, I just want to play baseball. I'll be happy wherever I go. I like it here, but it's a business. I have to acknowledge it. Side note to the Suarez story, there's a piece from the New York Post, John Heyman, about how the Yankees are going to make him like one of their top priorities to go after. But at 51-45 and 5 games back at Houston, God, what a crucial series that is to start the second half of the year. Jesus, mother of God. Depending on what happens there in that series, at minimum, you got to take 2 out of 3 against them. That, that's not insurmountable at all. 0 at all, 5 games. But the adding O'Hearn or Naylor or Suarez or arm in the bullpen or anything, what the number one thing they've got to add, is Julio Rodriguez. And he had a great series against Detroit. After a rough series against the Yankees, a rough start to July, he was unbelievable against Detroit. I don't think it was a coincidence with the timing of the announcement. Hey, I'm not going to participate in the All-Star game, and then what he did against Detroit. I agree with what the go-to guy said yesterday. Feels like it kind of freed him up. For, I don't know, for some pressure that was on him. Maybe he felt he didn't deserve to play. Whatever it was, he looked much freer in that series against the Tigers. That's got to carry over for next season, or excuse me, the second half of the year. Because adding him it raises everybody's play. And I know, thanks, Tips. I can't believe I actually watch or listen to this for someone to tell me that. I know. I know how stupid it is. But if he can continue to have those second half surges like he's had, then everybody else gets better. A Rosarina. I mean, you start looking at that 1 through 5 or 1 through 4 lineup with those guys in the top of the order. They can do some damage. They certainly they can. He's got the track record of having a hot July and August and September. Yeah, I would agree with those to say you can't always depend on that. But that shouldn't prevent them from going out and adding something, whether it's at first base /DH or at third base. They should. And I love Ben Williamson. You know me, I'm the Ben Williamson president of the Ben Williamson fan club. It's more about his glove because I just like third base defense. To me, as I've said this a million times, so it's a broken record, is baseball porn. I just love third base defense. And he plays it great. And Suarez does too. But Suarez just is on another planet, another level offensively, and they just need help. I also think about Suarez, which makes perfect sense for them, is that attitude he brings, that joyfulness that he brings, which it coincides with how Julio plays, a Rosarina, Robles when he was there. I just think the way that Suarez carries himself on and off the field is invaluable as they get into a playoff race later in the summer when things heat up and the pressure's on. Because I think his attitude that he brings to the ballpark every single day, it allows people to relax a little bit. So much pressure on all these guys. But his attitude and his good vibes only and his constant smile on his face, masks a fierce competitor underneath that smile. So don't get it wrong. Like, well, he's just out there just having fun. He's not serious about winning. That's not the case at all with Suarez. He is a burning desire to win and help his team and wants to truly be, in a pennant race. And he told Scott Anson there from the Seattle Times, big piece of his heart is still here in Seattle. Never wanted to leave. We can hear all the stories from players and coaches how devastated they were when he did leave. So if they were to pull something off like that, I think that'd be clearly a great move. My love affair for Josh Naylor. They both make sense. If they could get both, you don't have to pay them past this year. So you could do something with them from a contractual standpoint if you wanted to. What you'd have to give up, each team is different. You can throw out the same names that everyone else is gonna throw out. But that the second half outlook, it starts with Julio. Starts with Julio Rodriguez. He's got to be the player that he's always been in the summers. Starting pitching's got to continue to get healthy. They've got to take advantage of that first 3 games against Houston. They just cannot come out after playing, and they've done this trend, which is agonizing. They're coming off a great series against Detroit. All-Star break. There is going to be this renowned excitement from a lot of us fans looking out like, here it is now. Here's the stretch run of games. And it starts right out of the gate with Houston. Can't come out and lose 2 out of 3 or, God forbid, get swept by these guys because all the momentum they have right now, because people are feeling good about the team, is going to be squashed immediately if they come out and lay an egg against Houston. And then they got to flip it right back around and get the Brewers, and the Brewers are red hot there as well. So this is it for them. They have truly have got to come out and make a statement out of the gate to Houston. So that's part of the second half outlook. The starting pitching is just going to continue to get healthy. They will find another arm in the bullpen eventually and kind of solidify that group there as well. But, the keys of the second half are just kind of obvious. I think even me saying it, you hearing it, you guys know it as well. Julio's just got to be Julio of where he's always been. And they've got to truly add something. They've got to be aggressive. They can't be concerned anymore about what they possibly would lose with this, great farm system they have. Part of the reason you acquire and you get a great farm system, you put it together, is so you can use that farm system not only to clearly benefit your major league roster, but to sit there and use these guys, these trade pieces that may or may not be good. They look good now. They look great now. Who knows what they'll be? Jared Galnick. You use them as trade bait. You throw them out there to get a major league proven bat arm in return. And so they constantly talk about how there's no restrictions. They're going to go all in. This is the year. That's 10 years. It's now or never. I mean, we've been saying that for the last 3 years. Make a big splash. I know people say, well, but they've done stuff at the deadline. Like Randy Arozarena is a nice player, but Randy Arozarena was also he was the best guy available in kind of a weakish market. Talking about making a splash. Be aggressive. Make a headliner. Try and make a deal that stuns the baseball world. I mean, he's not going to be dealt. The Acuñas of the world. Make something that sends a message through the rest of baseball. More importantly, I think sends a message, to your players in your locker room, in your clubhouse, who are like, oh man, here we go. This is it. We're finally once and for all really going out and truly doing it and trying to go out and go win this thing. They've got the ability, and we've just discussed it a lot. They've got the ability to win the whole thing. They really do. They really do when all their pieces are together. It's a weird team. It's a playoff kind of team, but it's not kind of in a weird way not built to actually get there because of the regular season. But like anybody that can get in the postseason, they very much could do damage. All right, he joins us every Tuesday. We caught up with him earlier today from his hotel room in Atlanta. He's got so many responsibilities for MLB Network today and radio and Sirius XM Channel 89. Jim Duquette, he's our GM. He joins us every single week. We talk Cal Raleigh, home run derby, Cal being, now this newfound stardom in baseball. What does that mean? In addition, we talk about trade deadline moves, Julio's decision not to participate in the All-Star game. We go back to the Yankees-Mariners series, tipping pitches, second half outlook, and he also gives a scouting report there on Kade Anderson, who, of course, the Mariners selected 3rd overall in the MLB draft. Our weekly conversation from the AC, the comforts there in the hotel room in Atlanta, Georgia. Jim Duquette, MLB Network Radio. Channel 89, Sirius XM. You can follow Jim there on social media at Jim Duquette GM there on Twitter. Here he is, our weekly conversation with our GM, Jim Duquette. In a hot and sweaty HOT-lanta, Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, it's our GM, Jim Duquette. MLB Network Radio. You can listen to him, Sirius XM Channel 89 at Jim Duquette, GM on social media. He's in his hotel room, thank God, because you were telling me right before we came on, it's a little warm down there.
It's a little warm. I was considering taking my shirt off for this segment, but I think we'd be better off not doing that. That's how hot it is. You think of things that you would never, ever in your wildest imagination consider. Yeah, it is hot, and we're not that far. We're like just a 15-minute walk from the Battery. Every day we're taking an Uber instead of walking. It's that hot. Like you could get a sweat going 5 minutes into your walk. It's bad.
Well, the South is. I mean, I've been a few times in the South in the summer. I mean, it is just. It's no joke. It's no joke. You walk out and then it's just like 9 a.m. It just hits you in the face like a brick.
It is no joke. And it stays hot late too. So I did say, oh, you know what? I'll walk back after the Derby last night, and I got a small little backpack that I have, and I have my little laptop in there. And 10 minutes into the walk, I was in a full-on sweat. I got back to the hotel, and I had to shower before I went to bed. That is so bad.
All right, what a transition. You know who was hot last night?
Oh,
our guy Cal Raleigh. You know what? He's been, Jim, out here, we take so much pride. We're up here in the middle of nowhere. I know people know where Seattle is, but we're so tucked up in kind of the the Pacific Northwest. It's always been a joke. We're Southern Alaska. We take such great pride in our players for national attention. He's been one of the biggest storylines, if not the biggest storyline in baseball from an individual perspective in the first half. And then he did not disappoint in the home run derby.
No. He didn't. And he was my selection. We make picks. I did a show pre-derby, from the field, and they go, all right, let's make your picks. And I really thought it would be Cal versus Matt Olson, obviously the Brave in this park. Left-handed hitters, I felt like have a little bit of an advantage because of the shorter right field. But he obviously Olson didn't make it, but Cal did. It was tight there that first round, matter of what, an inch when they come to the tiebreaker. But man, he did not disappoint. I tell you what was even more impressive for me is his dad throwing batting practice and his brother catching. Like the family story was so cool. Just his humility and he's a star in the game now. Like he is blossoming this friggin' star. And comparisons to Judge, we've talked about him in the MVP race. Ohtani, he's here where he should be, and he's just like, I'm just a normal guy from North Carolina. He just he hasn't forgotten where he's come from. I've really grown to appreciate and really like him as a person. Some of the things that he says.
He's an everyman. He's
Yeah.
Everybody can relate to Cal Raleigh. I mean, it's like he's the guy that is your next door neighbor mowing the lawn, and then after he mows the lawn, he's like, "Hey, Jim, beer."
Right.
That's what he is, and he's
Yeah.
Let's talk about Little League. How's little Billy doing in Little League? I mean, he's a normal guy, and I think that's what makes him. He's a superstar, Jim, but also makes him so relatable to so many people.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and I think because of that. I still am a little skeptical of the you win the Derby, your profile takes a step up. In this particular case, I think you're going to see that. Now, how high it goes, we'll have to wait and see. But all of the talk in any of the national publications or any of the television is about Cal Raleigh, that whole story. His nickname, how he got it, how his little brother, his little dumper now. We're gonna probably talk to him prior to the All-Star game today. I'm gonna ask him about Daddy Dumper, and how good his BP was, and how he hit him with a pitch. We gotta make a thing of this, don't we?
That was the best. I mean, my most favorite part. You kind of nailed everything. I mean, and I think for him, which was unique to, I think, the other guys going into the Derby, is I honestly, truly believe he did not care how he did. Like, if he would have ended up like Jazz Chisholm and hit whatever it was, 2 or 3 home runs, he'd have been fine. But I got to do it with my dad throwing me BP, which he's done a million times in our backyard, at our park, whatever. And then my little brother, who's not so little, he's actually bigger than me, is catching for me and encouraging, like how, and I'm in Atlanta where, they spend a lot of time in that area with travel ball. And he's talked about that. He's like, how does this get any better? It doesn't get any better. It only got better because he actually wanted it, because he had talked about how the plan was to keep switching back and forth, left, right, left, right. But then when he realized, hey, we can actually win this, I'm just going to stick left because it's easier to hit there out of the ballpark. But I just think that for him, can his star get any bigger? Yeah, probably. What I do think, you're not going to see him on a bunch of commercials and all that kind of stuff. But what it did is raise the profile of him to that East Coast media.
Yes.
Who may then have a real hard decision to make.
Yep.
If they, he keeps doing well, Judge will, they're in the playoff race, they make it. I think he narrowed that gap significantly in the home run derby for that MVP race talk.
And the more people I've talked to around here in leading into the All-Star break itself, there is a story to tell that writers like to consider, and that is kind of the new, fresh face who's had a really incredible, like unbelievable type of season, and that's where he's headed right now. We were talking, can he get to 60 home runs? Yes. Can he get to 70? I mean, that would be 2 home run. That would be a home run every 2 games. That would be insanity. But 60 home runs certainly feels like it's within reach. Again, he's doing things that no one's ever done. And he just added something else to it, which obviously no catcher has ever won the Derby. So, like, there's all these things, these firsts that happen that creates a story that writers love. They're the ones that are voting. So, he is, I think, significantly closed the gap since maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were talking about this.
And then I think you also can, you can go down this road of, listen, Judge can win it every year, almost every year, especially in the American League. I mean, there's just going to be so many more years where Aaron Judge is going to be the best player in the American League, or do what he's doing now. So, let's give it to Cal this year. It's like when Jordan was in the NBA. You could give it to Jordan every single year the MVP because he was the best player in the league. But I felt like they were like, we can't do it anymore. It's too much. Let's give it to whoever. Let's give it to Barkley one year, or let's give it to somebody else. Yeah. And I think maybe that plays a part in it as well. Yeah. They just know that Judge will win multiple or win another one, and let's just reward Cal Raleigh this year.
Sure. Yeah. No, I do think that factors in. The hardest part that Cal has to compete with is if you go, let's say you go on Baseball Reference, which I like to go on all the time, sure. And it highlights by the black ink is darker in league, and when you lead the league in certain categories. If you go and look at Aaron Judge's season this year, like the entire line is like dark. Black ink, with the exception of like home runs and RBIs. Like everything else is, so that's what he's competing against. But again, the story in the gap has closed a lot.
What should they not have during the home run derby? Now, whatever would have happened, they should they let him and Rooker just have a couple of swings?
I thought
you get three swings, and let's see what happens. I mean, I guess in Seattle we love that he won, but it's by an inch. It wouldn't have been more drama if they got up there and had like a sudden death swing off.
Yeah, I think they should have, and I thought they would have. They've done that in the past when they've tied. When they've and there's a chance that we could have had a couple ties for the next round too, and they would have gone to the longest home run. I thought even how they have that kind of that bonus round where they have 3 outs. It's either a home run or an out. Like, you could have given each one out. Here you go. how many home runs can you hit with 1 out and see if you could, clinch it that way, some other way. I felt bad. I did feel bad for Rooker. Rooker's got his family there. He's got his, he has a newborn. His wife's on the field, right? And it's looking like, he's going to win this thing. And then he doesn't even know the rule. He's like, that was never discussed with us before the Derby. Anyway, whatever the case is, it ended up working out well. And I thought the event was good. I will say this real quick on the event. That first round is too long. It's an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We did not get out of there until 10:45 at an 8 o'clock start. Now, that could be a 2-hour, I think, tightly constructed derby where you keep everybody's eyes. But, as soon as Olsen got eliminated after the first round, a lot of the fans left. A lot of the brave Atlanta fans left. And I feel like there's ways to kind of keep the attention there on the derby itself, which I thought was, I still think it's good. They keep tweaking it. I really liked some of the tweaks, but that first round is too long for me.
And I want a bonus round where they get to use like one of those travel ball U-trip bats.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
I want to see someone
like a drop
get
five. Drop five. Just
600 feet. That's what I want to see. And I never really finished this. I kind of got lost. I was going down. We were talking about, his dad and his brother. But the best part again was when the dad hit him. Because anybody that's had a kid that you've thrown BP, it was funny because a guy that I coach with, he texted me right away because during like our BP, and he played baseball in college, he would always hit his kid.
Always
throwing BP. He would always hit him, and he laughed. He's like, God, that reminds me of me throwing BP to my kid. It was so funny. I mean, God, he just brushed him aside, man.
He was like, that didn't even hurt. Like, he didn't even look like it hit. He didn't act like it hit him. It was not thrown very hard. Like you said, every dad can relate. I've done that to my son too.
Yeah.
I shot him a text during like, hey, remember when I hit you in the helmet twice? Back-to-back practices where I'm like, someone else has to throw to him. I can't do it.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's so funny. If I got my kid in here right now, he would say, you always throw great BP to everyone else. Yeah. But the second I come in there, you're all over the place. And it's true.
Yeah,
why?
Totally
true. Why is it? I can't throw a strike. But Big Todd, he was great. He was throwing it right where he placed it perfectly every single time for him.
It was amazing. And this is what I wanted to share with you. So before the event starts, every batter has a chance to go. They give them a minute, and they give the batting practice pitcher a chance to kind of figure out how far away they can throw. And so it gives him a chance to kind of dial in. It gives the hitter a chance to get loose. So Cal took swings. It was one of the worst BPs I have seen. I remember because I watched it. I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to go well. I felt bad, and because I had said, again, I was making the prediction, and of course, the only thing that really matters to me is that I'm right. So, so when I saw this disaster, and I'm going to ask Cal about this today. When I saw this 1 minute round, he didn't hit one out of the park. Now I think there was about 12 pitchers or so. I said to myself, "Oh, this is not going to go well." They got to tighten it up. He obviously did, but that was not. If I was giving a scouting report, I would have said, "Hey, bet on somebody else."
How about his kid? How about his younger brother when he stands up and you're like, he's taller than Cal. He's 15. I mean, that guy. There's going to be teams that are scouting him right away when he was down there. He's a massive kid.
He's got so I have a couple of friends who are in the Perfect Game, National Showcase Arena, and they broadcast events. I've done a few of them myself. He has a profile, scouting report profile. He's still young. This will be a year for him to kind of take off, start to grow. You can see he's tall. He needs to get a little stronger. But his profile got raised too. I mean, talk about getting involved. Can you imagine friends of his that are watching this event? Like he was all over the TV too.
He's
like
mic'd up. He's mic'd up. He's doing interviews. I mean,
amazing, right?
That's what I loved about the whole thing. It's just that father-son, father-son's moment. It was just
Yeah, that
It's
was
what
so
baseball, it's you and I. That's what the sport is all about. That's what the sport has over all the other sports.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, and it's legit. Like his brother, younger brother, could be, a really good college player. Who knows? May end up being a professional. Like that doesn't usually happen in other sports. It's like that. You have the outlier. Obviously, you have occasional ones, but it happens more in baseball than it really does in any of the others.
I mean, there's probably a simple answer to this, but I'm just curious your thoughts. Why does this All-Star game work so much more and so much better than the other ones?
That's a really good question. And it does work, and it's way better than the other ones. I think to the players' credit, that there's something to be said about trying and putting in the effort. No matter who shows up, they put in the effort, even if it's for an inning or 2 innings or whatever. Like when you have pitchers out on the mound, and they're not letting up. They're like you'll see Tarek Skubal tonight and Paul Skeens throwing 100 miles an hour, and then they'll be doing it easy. Well, if you're going up there as a hitter, like you're trying to make contact, you're trying to hit, you don't want to embarrass yourself, right? There's that pride issue there, and so. And there's not that risk of injury, which I think you have with those others. You're not going to wood on that. But I think those are a couple of things that kind of stand out to me. That there's still guys that will leave after the third or fourth inning. Like they get one at bat and you see they're gone. Like that's happened in the past. That's like the behind the scenes things that goes on. But for the most part, it's a competitive game, and it turns out really, really well. And I think that's been my view over the years on that. I didn't think they had to put something on the line like home field advantage for the World Series like they did for a 15-year period. I felt like the game was fine the way it was.
And if you're a betting man tonight, I would advise, or most people would advise, put a lot of money on the National League. It just looks like such a better lineup than what the American League's going to throw out. Yeah,
they're stacked. They really are stacked. It's a fun team. That lineup is crazy. I mean, they're both really kind of good. But if you look at the National League lineup, it's when you have the Dodger guys and the Mets guys, it's impressive.
You shocked Julio declined to go?
Yes, I was. I don't know. I didn't see the reason.
He hasn't really given a reason other than he just wanted to spend time getting ready for the second half.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of those reasons for but like, okay, so I'll give you the contrast to that. Pete Alonso chose not to hit in the home run derby, and he said the reason was to get ready for the second half. But he's here and he's going to play in the game. And this is like his fourth or fifth All-Star appearance. So, and listen, Jose Ramirez, he chose not to. He was dealing with some health issues, like some things that were bothering him. I think it was his ankle, hammy, or back. So there are guys, it's happened more than, but yeah, we've talked a lot about Julio and his season and everything else. Like the players, his peers voted him in. I feel like there's some obligation to show in that particular regard, whether it's the fans or the players that voted you in. So I don't know. I'm a little surprised that he's not here.
In a second half lookout, though, I mean, I'm sure you've seen what he did against Detroit. It's like the second he made the decision not to go, he just unleashed hell on the Tigers. Hit over 500, 3 straight games with home runs. We've talked a lot about what they can add and what they should add at the deadline. And I'm going to ask you that before we let you go. But what they could add is him. Yeah. He would be a massive addition in the second half of the season for them offensively.
I mean, if he does what his history has shown, then that will be an addition. You can't ever, the thing is, you can't ever count on it, and that's the thing. But Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible series when you kind of go back and look at it. Detroit is a hot team. They are and they're good, and so to go and win, they won that series, right? Or did they sweep them? Did they
swept
sweep
them.
They
Yeah.
swept them, yeah. So, those series, they're right leading into the break. Sometimes they get a little tricky because I'm traveling and you don't catch. I don't stay on top of like that Sunday game, so I couldn't remember. But regardless, that I thought was a really good sign for the Mariners, showing that they could beat the Tigers, one of the best teams in the American League.
What? I mean, you guys are all gossiping over cocktails late night in that hotel bar. What's the buzz on the trade front around baseball and then anyone
generally
associated with the Mariners?
Well, so generally it's like, okay, it's going to start cranking up starting today or tomorrow. When and there's been a ton of conversation that's gone on prior to this. I've talked to a dozen GMs, or more than that now, but they all say the same thing. It's all-star break after the draft, but with the Mariners, they're still talking about offense there, and bullpen arm likely as well. But more than anything, it's an offensive piece. And there's still a lot of uncertainty outside of, let's say, the Orioles, who I think they were showing they're going to sell. Who's actually going to be available? I think that's the hardest part. Is you have a sense of what teams, if they next couple of days say they're selling. Okay, now it's a lot easier to go. Okay. Suarez is available, with the Diamondbacks, and Josh Naylor is available, but they're not right now, and I think that's the thing that, I've said this to you before, but you have a choice. You can go and try to make a play for, let's say you have, your sights on a first baseman. You got Ryan O'Hearn and you've got Josh Naylor. Now, Josh Naylor is a better overall player, power hitter, and O'Hearn's the better hitter. Do you want to go for O'Hearn now, or do you wait 10 days and Josh Naylor might be available too, as well, and you take him instead? And that's always the difficulty that you have at this time. If you move fast, you might be, eliminating yourself from a better player in the future.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this last week, and again, it's just been in this rumor mill, and I'm just curious because I don't know really where it got started. It just started, it started to gain steam, and people were like, oh, Ronald Acuna is available, and then there was these reports he's not available, he's not going anywhere. Stop with it. It's a pipe dream. What is the buzz out there about him? You're in Atlanta, obviously, and plays for the Braves. What is the word on him? Is he available or is he untouchable? What's the deal?
So the word out of here is none of the players, including Acuna, are going to be available that are under contract. Okay. They have a number of players, obviously, almost their entire position player group are under control over the next couple of seasons contractually. And the guys that they might move are ones that are going to be, pending free agents. Most of them are in the bullpen, like Raisel Iglesias, Pierce Johnson, guys like that, Aaron Bummer. Okay. Those are all relievers. But none of necessarily the position players are the one guy would be like maybe Sean Murphy, the catcher, because they have the rookie Drake Baldwin is really, really good, and they might consider if they could find something significant, but I don't think they can. So I think they're going to be fairly quiet, certainly on the major guys.
I want to go back. Did you see before the Mariners played the Tigers? They obviously had that series with the Yankees, and the Yankees swept them. That easily could have gone either way in that series.
Sure.
The last game, a lot of controversy of the Yankees tipping pitches. I have never, in all my years of watching baseball, have obviously seen people tip pitches, but not like that. Yes. I mean, they were not shying away to signal to the hitter what was going on.
Right.
I know it's a part of the game, but what's the fallout from how egregious and how, I guess, out in the open the Yankees were about tipping or stealing pitches there from Andres Munoz?
Well, there's a couple things. First off, I cannot believe the Mariners didn't do anything about it. They didn't. Maybe they didn't know exactly how he was tipping, right? Mm-hmm. So that's logical. But I think you could have, in the middle of some of those at bats, gone up there and said, "Listen, we're gonna call a different sign and see if they're getting our signs. We're gonna do our signs, but let's say 2, for a curveball is normal. We're gonna make that a fastball.
Yeah, but he was using the pitch com. I think they're saying something. Oh, I see what you're saying, because they were reading his hands, right?
Correct.
That's what they
were
doing?
Reading the grip of the ball, but you don't know that at the time.
Yeah.
You can't quite figure it out. That's the hardest part about it. But you had to try to figure out, okay, there's got to be something, and the thing that, because they were so blatant, what I thought, in the past would have happened was they would have been, one of the hitters would have been buzzed. Hey, you're gonna give me a slider or you're gonna give me a fastball, and I'm gonna throw a fastball up and in to warn them of it. And the other thing was, I don't know, it was right in front of JP Crawford. A couple of those where Crawford was right behind him, and you can see the base runner waving his arms. I'm like, why doesn't JP Crawford say something? Somebody. If Crawford didn't see it, somebody else. Like, there had to have been somebody that saw it in real time.
What I didn't understand about the Mariners' reaction of it, maybe it was just happening so fast and the game was getting sped up, but they were being so demonstrative about it. You're right. I was a little surprised either JP or Cal himself didn't call time.
Right.
And just like, we need to stop. They're doing something is going on.
Right.
I was surprised by that. Have you ever seen a team be that crazy about tipping pitches like that?
Never that blatant. There's a lot of times where, they see, to breaking ball, they'll lean one way.
Right.
Fastball, they'll lean the other.
Yeah.
Like, they'll tap their helmet. And so those are, fairly obvious.
Yeah.
But they're trying to be subtle, But that waving, I've never seen that. That was crazy. And it kind of it overshadowed the pitching effort. It was Wu, right, that had the no-hitter. That was the night.
Oh yeah, that was the game that Wu had. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why it was like the most devastating loss. Wu has a no-hitter going to the 8th inning, and then it all just completely falls apart.
Just fell
apart. You forget that he even had a no-hitter. So hey,
I was watching that one fast because the alert came out, so I flipped over right away, and then watched that unfortunate unravel and all of the stuff going on. Like, that was one of those games you'll never forget where you were, just from all of the things that happened just in the final 3 innings.
Hey, last thing for you, Kade Anderson. What are the Mariners getting in Kade Anderson, who they selected 3rd overall, Southpaw at LSU? I mean, there was talk that he was going to go number 1 to the Nationals, but he falls at number 3 there to Seattle.
I thought they did a great job. They were in a perfect position to get him. In my opinion, no one develops starting pitching better than the Mariners. And for them to get him, I think they got another starter later. It's like, okay, now you're starting to see the next wave of guys that are going to be homegrown, that are going to replace the guys that are going to probably move on. Sure. He can really pitch. He's got a fastball that he likes to throw up in the strike zone. He's got a big sweeper as well. Like, for me, he was the best of the college pitchers. I think he's going to be a number 3 type starter. Maybe he gets better. He's better than that, but I think at the minimum, a number 3 type of starter. And he's got experience. He'll move fast. Like, you'll see him in the big leagues fairly quickly. Maybe not in 26. We'll see. With some of these college pitchers last year are in the big leagues. Chase Burns with the Reds. So he might get there, but more than likely it would probably be 27. He'd be up at some point.
All right, what's your schedule here on Tuesday? Where can we listen to you? Where can we watch it? Sirius XM channel 89.
Channel 89. We've got a pregame show tonight. You can check it out, or if you're on the app, you can always rewind it, listen to it on demand. But we're going to talk to the commissioner tonight, Commissioner Manfred. That it will be probably, let's see, I think we're going to have him around 7:00 Eastern time if you want to listen to it live. And we got a bunch of questions for him. I think he always is good with his time. But we've got questions. We want answers. That's what we want.
What's the most important one for you?
I think the labor talk. is, usually we're not talking about the collective bargaining agreement over a year out from it expiring, which next year, 2026. But there's been so much talk about it recently, and they're talking about trying to have a salary cap, and the Players Association is pushing back, saying they don't have any desire to agree to anything like that, and that's already starting. We have momentum with the sport and the way it's been. The eyeballs on the sport and all the social media presence, everything else, and we're talking about labor. And I want to talk specifically about he went out to a shareholders meeting here in Atlanta for the Braves and Liberty Media, and he talked about openly his strategy, which is to talk to the players directly about a salary cap and sharing revenues and everything else, basically going around the Players Association leadership. And I want to discuss them. Like, why would you discuss openly your negotiations? That doesn't make any sense to me. No one does that. But he discussed it in an open forum. I was a little surprised by that. So I'm going to ask him, variations of those questions.
There he is, Jim Duquette, MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 89. Check him out there. Also, Jim Duquette, GM, on Twitter. Always gracious with his time, and I know you're very busy. I appreciate it, but at least you are in the comfy confines of a air-conditioned hotel room.
For the moment, yes, for the moment. I'll
Thank
be
you,
wandering
Jim.
outside soon.
Have fun, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, enjoy the game. See you.
There he is, Jim Duquette, with us every single Tuesday. Caught up with him earlier today in his hotel room, as he was saying it's just hot as Hades there in Atlanta, getting ready for the All-Star game coming up later tonight. Again, Channel 89, Sirius XM, if you have it. He's going to talk to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. He's going to also talk to Cal Raleigh coming up a little bit later. And I think he says he's hitting the airwave. I think 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock our time. And he'll be on leading up to the All-Star game. Big thanks to Jim Duquette, again, with us every single Tuesday at Jim Duquette, GM, there on Twitter. In case you missed anything, catch the full episode with Jim. Part of our daily puck drop, both on YouTube and on podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Good stuff there on Julio. Lots of great stuff on Cal Raleigh. And again, as we kind of talked about Cal, I do think the performance of Cal in the home run derby, if they continue to win, will start. You're going to start to see, I think, the gap close on that MVP discussion. I still very clearly Judge is still the favorite to win it and most likely will win it. But that gap, I think, is closing, and it will close with the East Coast voters and the national voters who got to see him last night, and then we'll see what he does tonight there in the All-Star game, which will get underway 5 o'clock, I believe, is the start. Paul Skeens against Tarek Skubal, another Seattle connection. Obviously, his time there at Seattle U. The American League starting lineup: Gleyber Torres leading things off, playing second base, of course, from the Kitty Cats. Then Riley Green, his teammate, in left field. Then it's Aaron Judge in right field, hitting third. Hitting cleanup is Cal Raleigh. Vlad Guerrero at first base. Ryan O'Hearn, could he be a teammate of Raleigh soon? Hitting seventh is your DH, Junior Caminero at third base. Hitting eighth, Javier Baez hitting eighth, Caminero hitting seventh. And then Jacob Wilson batting ninth, playing shortstop. And then there's the National League lineup. It's just stupid. Shohei Ohtani, Ronald Acuna Jr., Ketel Marte, your first three hitters. Freddie Freeman playing first, bat and cleanup. Then it's Manny Machado, Will Smith, Kyle Tucker's hitting seventh. Francisco Lindor's hitting eighth. Pete Crow Armstrong's hitting last for them. I mean, on paper, they should obliterate the American League, but it's on paper. Odds to win the American League game, or odds to win the All-Star game MVP. Ohtani clearly is the favorite at 5-1, followed by Judge at 7-1, Acuna at 11-1, Cal's at 12-1. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong's at 12-1, Bobby Witt's 18-1, so was Tatis, and Freddie Freeman and Manny Machado both at 22-1. And the biggest thing tonight that I'm going to enjoy, besides just sitting back and watching the game with my son and my daughter, is they brought back the uniforms of just the team they play for. Thank God. We did it from like 1930 to 2019, and it was so cool. I just always remember as a kid seeing Jeffrey Leonard in a Mariners jersey going, hey, we got one of our own. And they were wearing their uniforms. And then they went away, was whatever, 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And just hideous uniforms. Even the ones they were wearing yesterday, those were awful. Those were terrible. God. Just let them wear their uniforms, please. And they're doing that tonight. All right, let's transition over to the NBA. It is a big, big night in Las Vegas for the NBA. And again, I don't know why they're doing this today. I really do not understand the league. There's going to be so much attention on Major League Baseball tonight, their All-Star game. I don't know why Adam Silver would want to have his press conference today and this Board of Governors meeting today. They knew it would be on this day. I don't know if they want to steal the limelight away from Major League Baseball, whatever it is. But they will get together tonight. The Summer League is going on in Vegas. By the way, I did this when I was in college. I went and broadcast games in Las Vegas. That is, if you are an NBA junkie and can stand the heat and you want to go watch basketball, that is one of the best things in the world to go do, is to go to Las Vegas and watch the NBA Summer League. So they will meet tonight. Tim Booth, Seattle Times, is there. Tim's going to join us coming up tomorrow. This is, Tim laid out like 3 different scenarios that I brought it to Jim yesterday. 3 different scenarios for NBA expansion. And one was, hey, they're going to come out. They're going to announce the committee, maybe a timeline, a further expansion, and they will start the official process of it, of announcing the committee, which most people could feel like is the most likely scenario. Then the other option was, hey, they're just going to come out and say, we don't need a committee. We know where we're going. It's 2 teams, Las Vegas and Seattle. We're starting the process now. Now, that seems the most unlikely and no shot of happening. And then he offered this other option, which was that he's going to come out tonight and say, at this time, there's not a real appetite for expansion. And yes, we'd like to expand, but we just received feedback from owners that we're just not quite there yet. I'm going to get to a story that just came out this morning from David Aldridge from The Athletic that we'll touch on here in a moment. I want to play you a couple of clips. 2 of them are from our show. One was from last year, which reminded me, I can't believe we've been doing this for over a year. It's stupid. Every day passes, we're still here. Thank God. Yeah. And what they're doing at the other place, I think we'll be here for a lot longer, and I think you'll appreciate that we're here. Adam Silver, back in June, was on with Dan Patrick, and Adam Silver had this to say about expansion.
Have your wish list of expansion, like the cities right now?
There's cities we're thinking about.
How many cities would you say are on that wish list?
Well, let me begin by saying it's not obvious to me we should expand. Okay. I think it's likely over time we will. And the reason I say it's not obvious is because as a global business, where something like 2 billion people will connect with us on social media, over 1 billion people over the course of the year will watch some portion of the game, adding another U.S. city, arguably, it's unclear how much growth we'll get as a result of that. And when you're adding expansion franchises, you're diluting their competition. 2 more, let's say we expand by 2 teams, 2 more teams that are going to be competing for those same players, and you're diluting your economics to the extent that we have locked-in television money now for the next decade. You have 2 more partners. Having said that, I do believe certain markets potentially can be additive to the NBA, and that's what we're going to look at. And I think part of it is geographic. It's a big country, making sure we're represented, all around the country. And then over time, maybe there's more we can do in Canada, and Mexico City is a city we've talked about before. I don't want to say specific cities today just because many have reached out to us to say they're interested, and our reaction so far has been, thank you for your interest. We haven't taken any meetings with any cities. We have a board meeting in Las Vegas around the Summer League in July. I know we're going to be talking about it then. I had been saying for the last several years, let us get through collective bargaining, which we did. Let us figure out our new media relationships, which we have, and that would be the time to consider it seriously. So that's what we're going to do this summer. But
I'm retiring in 3 years, Commissioner.
What?
I'm retiring in 3 years. Will we have expansion in 3 years?
I'm honestly not sure. Whether even if we were to announce we're engaged in a process, it's not clear to me at what moment they would start playing. But look, I don't mean to tease people with this. This is the summer we're going to look at it seriously.
So again, he says that back in June about expansion, which kind of, tosses a little cold water on it. I've had recent reports. I think Bill Simmons in his podcast came out and said, hey, James Dolan is someone who's against it and is not willing to want to expand, and it has nothing about diluting the talent. It's from a financial standpoint. They're owners, they're billionaires, they're greedy, they want more and more and more money. I want to go back to an interview that I did almost a year ago. Yeah, about a week ago, which is ridiculous. I can't believe it's a year ago. With Jerry Brewer, who used to be a columnist of the Seattle Times, now is the lead sports columnist at the Washington Post, and then Gary Washburn. And Gary is a longtime NBA reporter, used to work at the Seattle PI, I believe was the last beat reporter for the PI when the Sonics were here. Now is moved on to the Boston Globe, where he covers the Boston Celtics. When we talked a year ago, I remember the timeline that Gary gave, and I'm like, God, that doesn't seem great. It almost seems now that it would be the best timeline. But this is what, a year ago, we had this conversation, because this whole expansion talk has really heated up here in the last year and a half. What do you think the best case scenario timeline is?
The best case scenario would be the start of the 27-28 season. I think that the best case scenario is the first draft pick of the new team is in the 27 draft. Anything sooner than that is a bit of a crash timeline. And in order to get it sooner than that, I think you would probably have to make a deal that is financially foolish if you're trying to run a business.
Ever since Climate Pledge built it, like 4 or 5 years ago, Seattle's return, and then obviously with Vegas, they're fascinated with Vegas. So to me, I'd say 27-28 best case scenario. Because I just think everything is politics in this thing. Nothing happens fast in the league.
Yeah. So that's the best case scenario for those guys, 27-28, which again now takes us a couple of more years away. What you've heard here in the last few months, though, is a timeline that even expands beyond 27 and 28. There has now been a timeline thrown out there of 2030. Back in, in February, this is something that was brought up with myself and Tim Booth of the Seattle Times. And Tim, again, follow him. Tim is in Las Vegas right now covering this story for the Seattle Times. But this was one of the first times I had heard, okay, 27, 28, yeah, but now 2030 seems to be in place.
Process plays out will be a tipping point for whether the NBA ever returns. If this gets dragged out to that point to where we're talking 2029, 2020, 2030 for when a team is actually come back, people are tired. People have waited. The fans that remember the Supersonics have waited 2 decades to hear that a team is coming back. I mean, you vastly diminish the chances of fans embracing it in the same way in a place like Seattle if that ends up being the timeline. If that's what happens, go to Mexico City. Go Vegas, Mexico City, Vegas, Kansas City, Vegas, Montreal, whatever you want to do. At that point, I think people are going to be pissed off and just kind of done with it.
So that's Tim Booth back in February. And again, Tim will be on the show coming up tomorrow from Las Vegas after Adam Silver speaks tonight. We'll find out what Adam Silver says. Now let's get to the David Aldridge story from The Athletic, theathletic.com. And if you don't have a subscription, trust me, they're going to give you a discount every single month. So go get one, cancel it, and then it's going to be cheaper the next month. All right. And David Aldridge at The Athletic, writing today, says, quote, Seattle remains a top candidate for a new or potentially relocated team among owners. There is not overwhelming momentum among owners, to immediately expand past the current 30 teams. Repeat that. This is from David Aldridge, who's been covering the NBA forever. There is not overwhelming momentum among governors, to immediately expand past the 30 current teams. Now, immediately. Like next year is immediately next season, is immediately 27, 28, 28, 29, or the timeline that we just played for you there with Tim Booth, 29, 30. By the way, going back to that clip with Brewer and Gary Washburn, how about the sign from Limbeck Lumber? I mean, I like the sign we have now, that was handmade, but that was a big one. It was a big Limbeck Lumber. So what's the problem? Why would owners, if David Aldridge is correct, again, David Aldridge has been covering the league forever, why would owners be skeptical of expansion? It's simple. It's not the dilution of talent. It's nothing to do with talent. So much talent everywhere. It's a global sport. It's money. They're greedy. They don't want to share it with two other teams. That's why. Now you're going to say, well, but with the expansion fee, it doesn't matter to them. Like, yeah, that's a lot of money, but they want the new money from the media rights deal. They want that first. And it's a negotiating ploy to say, oh, maybe we're not interested right now, to drive up perhaps the desperation from two potential owners, Seattle and Vegas. And we don't even know who they are. I mean, that is and we will once it maybe gets to that point, but we don't know truly who the owners in Seattle are. I don't know who it is in Vegas. You heard the rumors of the Fenway Group, which is, LeBron is a part of that did have an association with the Oakview Group and Tim Leiweke. How much did, Tim Leiweke's issues right now with being indicted on these charges in Texas now affect his ability and Oakview's ability to build an arena there? Or how much does it affect this ownership group in Seattle? I don't know. Could. Maybe it doesn't have any effect. Maybe it does. Maybe it does have an effect with the NBA. But they just, inked and will go into effect next season a new 10-year, $76 billion. Yeah, you could get two expansion teams for $10 billion. But a new $76 billion media rights deal with NBC, Amazon, and then, of course, their deal with ABC and ESPN. That is the biggest probably sticking point. That if we find out tonight, we're going to pause it for a little while. It's not going to be because of talent. They'll say that, but it's because of money. As David Aldridge continued to write about and said this in his story, he had one quote from a senior team official who said, quote, there are people who are, I wouldn't say rethinking, but asking why we need to move as quickly as we expected. The official said to Aldridge that the league will ultimately expand, but not right away. Therein lies what's not right away. Are we going to push this to 2030? Beyond 2030? And then arises the question that Tim Booth brought up with me back in February. If it gets to that point, how many people are going to, in this city and market, going to lose interest? Now, there's a lot of you that have already lost interest, that are already done with it, that don't want it back. You say that, maybe you'll change your mind when they do come back. But if it's 2030, my math is bad. So now what are we talking about? That's 2010. Okay. What is that? How many years is that now? 22 years? Am I right? God, this is why I was a comm major. 22 years, 23 years? That's, I mean, damn. Yeah, maybe it's popular, but boy, you have really sent two middle fingers to a community and fan base, especially when it's been in the last year is just, it's picking up. And you get owners that are associated with the Kraken talking about it a lot. We're not going to get ahead of anyone. But it's coming back. Trusty, it's coming back. It will be. You heard that a lot from people associated with this group, Oakview and the Kraken. And part of the selling point, and don't forget it, the one of the biggest selling points for them to win that contract, to redo Key Arena, to tear it down to its studs was the promise the NBA would return. Don't forget that. The promise it would return. And they keep telling you to be patient. I'm just telling you, people are tired of being patient. Tired of it. And they better keep their word on that because they promised this community. I'm not talking just about the NBA, but I'm talking about the Kraken and the Oakview group and all that. They promised to deliver a team. They did that. And part of their legacy is not just building that arena and giving us hockey, it's delivering the NBA back because that's what the majority of people in this area want. It's not hockey, it was the return of that. They were willing to take on the hockey because they're like, okay, it's hockey, but we really want the NBA back. And I'm not going to get into this debate between the two sports. It is apples and oranges in terms of popularity and ratings, and it ain't close. It's not close at all between the two sports. It's just not. It's silly to even debate it. It's silly that it takes up so much time on airwaves at times because it's just not worth it. It just really isn't. So we'll see. It'll be interesting tonight. I'd be following Tim Booth by Tim Booth there on Twitter, SeattleTimes.com to see the worst case scenario tonight. The absolute worst tonight is if Adam Silver says, we discussed it, but, we're just going to put it on hold for now. We're just going to put it on hold for now. That will be the worst case scenario. Because I do believe with Tim and the people that like me and others who want it back, you're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose a lot of people who I think may just say, screw it. I'm out. And I'm really, really out this time. All right. Before we get on out of here and do Hey, What the Puck and all that stuff, let's get you caught up on the very latest because we have got, ladies and gentlemen, an Open Championship that is getting underway. And, of course, our Open Championship and our coverage of Puck the Picker Majors Pool, all brought to you by my good friends at Synthetic Turf Northwest.
Puck the Picker Majors Pool is back, brought to you by SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com. Tired of that muddy backyard? Look at this beautiful backyard. Look how pretty it looks with that 3-hole putting green. Tired of the cost of watering your lawn? Synthetic Turf Northwest is pet-friendly. They do synthetic lawn installation, custom turf installation, and with golf here, give you a golf green installation as well. Sign up today, SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com.
And so the Puck the Picker Majors Pool is underway. And again, this is the last one, and we will have our official winner. We'll announce it next week after we get through the Open Championship. It's a season-long golf contest that we've been doing, all thanks to Synthetic Turf Northwest, SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com. Open Championship gets underway tomorrow night, Royal Portrush. The deadline, if you are playing on Puck the Picker Majors Pool, pucksports.com, get your picks in. Do not delay. The deadline is right before the first tee time, and it's 10:35 tomorrow night is the first tee time, 10:35 tomorrow night to get them in. Again, as you know this, if you've been playing, you have to pick two new golfers for every single major. So you may be down to some scrubs right now. You never know. But first place is on the line. There's like 10 people still in the mix for this. First place is on the line, which is a stay and play package at Gamble Sands. For a twosome and 2 rounds of golf. Second place, which is a first place prize, is a foursome at Fairwood Golf and Country Club. And just take it in. That's where this guy right here earned his working chops in high school, working at Fairwood Golf and Country Club. Third place, a foursome at Mill Creek Country Club, and fourth place is a foursome at one of Troon's Seattle Premier Courses, plus an hour-long Top Tracers range session at either Inner Bay Jackson or Bill Wright, which is formerly Jefferson. So get your picks in. Coming up tomorrow, we'll talk to Travis Fulton, former golf instructor and golf analyst at Golf Channel, host of the Stripe Show podcast, golf instructor, Travis Fulton Golf Studio, TravisFultonGolf.com. You can check out his YouTube show, SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, and brings you Travis Fulton every single week of the major. So we'll talk to Travis and get a preview of the event coming up tomorrow. But get those picks in and go to SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com. Get rid of your burnout backyard because you can't water it because it's too much money to water your lawn. And then when we get into the winter, it's too muddy to enjoy it. Get your beautiful new synthetic turf installation done today. Get a putting green in there too. Come on. A 3-hole putting green back there. It's great. Kids out there all night last night putting around. All right. Let's wrap up the show with Hey What the Puck, brought to you by our good friends at Restoration One. It's your company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage. Their property restoration services, locally owned and operated. Give them a call, 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Let's go back to the Home Run Derby, and I just want to all the parents out there, dads out there, don't mean to exclude the daddy-daughter element here. I'm sorry. Because there is. You play catch with your daughters, too. I do. Nothing better than a father-son moment playing catch. And nothing better than your, as a dad, playing catch with your kid, throwing BP to your kid, whether it's in your backyard, at your local park, or a batting cage, what have you. When it's just you and them, having fun, participating in just a great sport, and especially the moment that really is with that sport, as we talked about earlier, between father and son. There's no other sport that captures that better than baseball. And for Todd Raleigh and Cal Raleigh and Todd Jr. to all experience that together on that stage, which is the biggest in that sport, for a family who bleeds baseball. I don't know how Todd Raleigh ever tops that, a moment with his son Cal. And they didn't even need to win it for that to be one of the best moments that they've ever shared together. The fact that they won it makes it that much sweeter. That's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage. Give them a call, 206-817-8917. Trent's going to take care of you. And visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. All right, thanks for everyone for watching and listening today. Thank you to our sponsors, as always. Couldn't do it without you. Limback Lumber, rock solid. Thank you so much. Your support means everything. Also, Restoration One, big thanks, Trent, and all the crew down there. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel as well. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms and, of course, up at pucksports.com. When you're there, sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. $5 a month. You support all the free content and everything we do here at Puck Sports, but also you get bonus material there as well, like our baseball coverage with our MLB insider Ryan Divish. Sports Pit that comes out later tonight, by the way. Sports Pit later tonight with Steve Sandmeyer and Matt Stretch Johnson. Mitchie the Kid coming up on Thursdays, and Graz with Gas, Take 5 podcast, which you can find on YouTube and all podcast platforms and pucksports.com. They didn't record one yesterday. They have one coming out later today. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We will see you tomorrow on Wednesday's edition. Until then, as always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!